inspire, empower, grab your girls and soar a little higher, unlock the fire in you, cause real women don't bitch, no, real women don't, 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 real women don't bitch.
Hey, thank you for joining me on the Real Women Don't Bitch podcast. This is your proud host, August Crenshaw, aka Mrs. Raw, Real, and Relentless. I am the #1 advanced mental conditioning specialist for entrepreneurs because building mental muscle is necessary in order to implement successful business strategies. This show has been created for the woman who is not excuse-driven and needs help building a profitable business. I will be interviewing women from various fields who are willing to break the silence on struggles that specifically affect female entrepreneurs. Welcome to a show where I and guest speakers from time to time share our methods that help us beast our business no matter what is going on in our lives. Whether you are an online or brick and mortar business owner, this show is for you. We will hit every angle, personal, professional, and spiritual. Why? Because on any given day, you get hit with shit from a scenario involving one, more, or perhaps all of the above. It all impacts you and your mindset towards your business. I have made it my personal mission to provide a space where we dive deep into the BS we face on a day-to-day basis. What's going on? We're back, ladies. This is the Real Women Don't Bitch podcast, and you know how I get when I have a live guest speaker. I get super duper excited, and I love this one, you guys. She's blushing. I know she's got her pre-blush for those that get to see this on YouTube. I have Erin with me, and this woman is a freaking genius. I usually don't introduce people and say their name full-fledged, and I don't necessarily say what they do. But I have just seen some of the most miraculous things with you, Erin. And I really do want you to know that I'm very, very grateful that you're on this podcast, because your level of intuition and your ability to help people, give them an alternative to Western medicine, is just freaking phenomenal. And when you touch people, I've seen people like in the private group rave like, oh my God, my doctor said this, but I talked to Erin and she said that. And that deserves a bow. So I hear people use those fancy terms, herbalists and shaman and all that stuff, and healers and transformation. Baby, you the real deal. And I don't want anybody on the podcast unless they're the real deal. So everybody, clap your hands virtually. We got Erin in the house. Woo! Okay, so now that I've finished, keeping it real, hi, say hello to everyone, Erin.
Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be here.
You should be. So I told them who you are professionally, but I always like my guests to let it be known that they're human. Who is Erin just as a everyday person? Who are you? What do you do? What do you like? Let the guests get to know. Let the listeners get to know you.
I am probably one of the most contrary people that you will ever come across. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a sister, I'm a friend, right? All of those sorts of things. But I'm this weird, I am this weird blend of kind of alternative and mainstream. I want to have all of my natural crunchy shit, but I also want to be able to go to Target. So, I'm meeting in the middle of two different worlds.
Yes. No, I love that, because I tell people all the time, I'm just like a walking oxymoron, because if I tell people, hey, I'm an introvert by nature, they're like, no, you're not, because I saw you dancing. I saw you,
right.
You're the life of the party. And I kind of I want that moment for the moment. And then once it's over with, I just want to go and I want to be by myself and I want to do my own thing. But at the same time, I'm one of those people where I'm vocal, right? I say what I feel, I mean what I say. But a lot of times I don't want to talk. I just want to be quiet. And so I have like these two varying sides of me. I'm like weird because I'm the analytical person. I majored in mathematics. I went to calculus 3, but even though I like structure and I like solid, this is it, black and white, I'm very much the gray area creative, as well. And that's one of the things I think that makes you and I bond so well is that it's not weird to us, it's normal. But for some people, it's like, you need to be one or the other. And it's like, no, I don't. I can just be whatever the hell I want to be.
Yeah, it depends which way the wind blows that day.
And that's okay. That flexibility, I freaking love that. So listen, we're here, right? We're here, we're doing this interview, and it's all about empowering women to take action, to stay focused, to not bitch, to not whine, to not complain. I've kind of already given the scoop on who you are professionally, talked about what you do. Why don't you bring people up to speed so they can find out from you what you do and the passion behind what you do, so we can see that this hasn't been a glorious journey of entrepreneurship. It's been this beautiful winding road of self-discovery and morals and values and just whatever all that other stuff is. So who are you as a business owner? What's the passion behind what you do? How did this thing even kick off?
The passion behind what I do is I want to empower women, and I help men too, but specifically women are the ones who raise their hands. They're the ones that don't sit on it, that aren't going to try to swallow it. They're the ones that say, I need help. And so I like to help women. I want to empower them to take their health back and to know that they are their first doctor. And as moms, that mom is first doctor to baby, right? We are our own experts. And I want to give us that power back. And the way that I got here is my son wasn't well when he was born. He looked well, everything, he was petite, but I'm petite also. But something was amiss. And I kept on getting these very generic blanket statements. And I refused to accept anything generic for my son, for me, or for anybody else that I come in contact with. We are very unique souls and human beings, and we should not be reduced to some anecdote that is in a textbook.
Okay, you pulled my heartstrings. You really, really did. And what's so crazy to me is my husband and I were having a conversation about this. Someone that's very close to him that he cares about was saying, oh, I had to go get my flu shot and I'm not feeling this way. And I had to do all of the, I see your face. You try to keep your composure.
I really did.
And like, you got up telling on her, I said flu shot. And it looked like she wanted to say the F word. Instead of flu, she wants to say fuck. It's like, no. But I already know, I know how you feel, right? And my husband was just listening to her because this is someone he really cares about. And when he hung up the phone from talking to her, he was like, man, it's amazing to me because she was brought up in the era of real food, of hot tidies, of go get that honey, go get that lemon, go put some whiskey in it, go make this broth, go eat these veggies. For her to have come from that place, to have lost that, was mind-boggling. And we had this long conversation about it because that's becoming like a lost art or something. It's something that people don't do anymore, even the ones who were birthed in it that are still living today. And it is just dumbfounding. Come on.
Well, I think what bugs me about it is we're calling it alternative medicine, when really this is preventative care and the original medicine. And I want to make it really clear that I believe that we can work parallel to Western medicine, and that Western medicine has a time and a place. Like if I'm having a heart attack, please send me to the hospital. When I fell on the sidewalk and I cut my hand and I was in I needed the emergency room, send me there. However, those are last case resort. That is crisis care. We should be able to do preventative care with the stuff in our kitchen.
Yes. Let food be thy medicine.
Yes. And that was one of the first lessons when I went to school to become an herbalist is food is our first medicine. Herbs come second. We can't do any of this stuff without having a really solid foundation first.
Absolutely. And so we kind of went on, it's all connected, but we kind of like went on a tangent because when you said the whole thing about empowering women to be in control and empowering women to be the first line of defense, you know, even for our children, the funny thing is today, you know, before we even started recording this podcast, my baby's coming in here and it's like they're attached to daddy. So yes, I have to put my mommy crown down for 2 seconds. Like, where's daddy? But my daughter came in here whining because she immediately wants her father. She's not feeling well. And the first thing that we did was not say, oh my God, immediately go grab the Motrin, go grab the Tylenol, or do something of that nature. My son, some people may think it's a little obscure. He's 3 years old. It's like he's also seeming like he's starting to feel some kind of way. So I've amped up and ramped up my veggie intake, my water intake, because I feel fine. Why? Because I nursed him. So it's like, okay, so, well, you're going to be doing a little bit more nursing than usual to make sure that that's part of your defense for whatever it is that's trying to creep up on you too. But this is not the natural inclination in people anymore to say, what is it that I can do? Like you said, it's like, okay, well, let's just dump everything into a category called cold and flu symptoms. Let's just dump everything into a category of pain and fever reducer. And it's preventing us, as you know, from what you teach, from allowing our bodies, like you said, to do what they were designed to do, from losing the empowerment, from doing what we knew how to do for so long. And so I feel you. I don't have the expertise that you have, but in some very core rudimentary spaces, I'm connected with you. Can you do a little bit and go back, because you brought up your son? I know your story, and I want a piece of this to come out. Your son was going through some things. He was fatigued. So they already were having their mind based on their weight scales and being underdeveloped, premature, on target, off target, all these different terms that they may have been throwing out there with you. What was the straw that broke the camel's back when Western medicine really became the alternative and you became empowered to take things into your own hands with your son?
You know, what it was is that, and this started right in the hospital, and he would spit up after I nursed him almost immediately, even after I burped him. And there was this really interesting shaming mechanism that happened when I was in the hospital with the nurses, that I wasn't doing something right. Yeah. That this is happening because I wasn't doing something right. And there's nothing more infuriating when somebody is accusing you of not doing something right, especially when you don't really know what you're doing yet. Yeah. I mean, I hadn't really gotten my mommy feet yet. It takes a second.
Yes, it does.
Figure out how this is gonna fit into your life now, and you're not quite sure who you are. At least that was my experience. That, you know, you become a mom. It feels like literally instantaneously. Yes, we have this 40 weeks of having the baby grow within us and that powerful experience. But then the baby comes, and you're like, what am I supposed to do?
Yes.
Who am I now? And how does this fit into who I was yesterday? But what was happening is he was spitting up, and it increasingly got worse. And it got to the point where he was spitting up on average 28 times a day. Mm. And I'm nursing him and I'm burping him. I stopped putting clothes on him. I just turned the heat up because he's a winter baby. I turned that heat up and left him in a diaper. I mean, our PG&E bill was off the charts that winter because I just didn't know what else to do. I was doing elimination diets while nursing, which made producing milk really hard because we're trying to figure out whether he's responding to something that I'm eating. And then finally, when none of those seemed to really have any substantial changes, Dr. Pediatrician said, well, we want to put him on Zantac. And I remember exactly where I was in the kitchen when I was talking to him on the phone. And I said, well, what is that, Mr. Pediatrician? And he said, well, that's an adult medication for acid reflux. And without it, you know, when you have these moments where you respond without even thinking, it's a knee-jerk reaction. I went, no, thank you. We will not be doing that. And I hung up the phone. I didn't even want to hear his response. I didn't want to be pressured into doing something that my body innately, my mommy intuition, that gut instinct told me no. And then of course, then I decide that maybe I should run this by my husband. And everybody has a different marriage, but my husband really does trust me with the care of our son. And this was the moment that I realized it, because I had this moment where he came home. We were running our own construction business at the time. And I told him the conversation I had with Mr. Pediatrician, and his response was, fuck no, we're going to go find out what's causing this.
Absolutely.
And when he said we, he meant me.
But thank you for being team, alternative, something different. Yes, hubby. Thank you. Same page. Right.
And so that is where my deep faith came in. I wasn't a shaman at this point in time, but what I have always been is a person of faith. And I've always had a really strong connection with God, Great Spirit, Source, the universe, whatever you're calling it today that makes it feel warm and fuzzy inside, right?
Yeah.
And those were those moments where, and I would look at my baby while I'm holding him and say, Mommy is praying, I'm going to figure this out. And I prayed until the answer came. And I found it in alternative medicine.
Wow. This is just it's beautiful, and it's piercing to my spirit every single time that I hear it. And it's because of that one thing, intuition. That is that's extremely important to me, because once again, it's like it's a lost art of being able to trust that you're equipped to know best. Trust that there is something divine inside of you that you can trust. And for you to not have had a clue what the other answer was, but you just knew it was something else, and to still take that nesty plunge is commendable, because so many people don't do it. It's harder. I couldn't even imagine how you felt, whether or not you did or didn't cry, or because you're strong and you were fighting back tears every single time that you prayed while you were in the middle of seeking that answer. But what I do know is that when I've watched you, whether that's listening to you on your live videos or hearing the praise or reading something that someone said in reference to you and your abilities, that right there is the most important thing to me, personally, to not throw people into a box of, you are this tall, you weigh this much, you are a woman, you are this age, this should be expected. Your ability to accept that for you is what allows you to have that ability to give that same transfer to people that come to you, because you don't do cookie cutter methodologies. If someone comes to you because they're having menstrual issues, they want to get rid of some weight, they have migraine issues, you don't have this, look, let me just take this. You're very
right.
deep, you're very in depth. The same love and compassion that you took towards doing what you do for your son, that's what's translated into your business. And I totally admire you for that. So can we kind of transitioning and fast forwarding, you go and you have this impact, you find this alternative for healing your son. And then what does this do for you as it pertains to business?
Well, at first it really just didn't do anything. It became a way of life. And it took, for example, it took a year for us to transition our food. My husband and I already ate pretty healthy. But it took a year or so to transition the food that we had in our cabinets, when I did realize that part of what was causing it was food allergies. It was more complicated than that, but we slowly get food out of the cabinet, and we were running our construction business, but that lifestyle, what it took to run that, took a toll on my health.
Gotcha.
And because I'm raising this baby, I am the CEO of this company that we're running. My husband's the feet on the ground, right? But I'm doing all of the back end stuff. I'm doing all the stuff that nobody sees in the background, while I'm trying to raise my son, while I'm trying to be the domestic CEO, right? Because I think most women are that within their home. They're the manager. And so doing all of those things, it didn't even occur to me that I should be taking care of myself.
Gotcha.
And then my own health started to decline. And I'm living on 8 shots of espresso a day and all kinds of empty stimulants, basically empty calories to get me going through the day, sugar and simple carbohydrates, right? Even though we're eating healthy, these are all things that people turn to when their energy drops and they're just trying to survive. And then my own health takes that toll. And I have to go to the naturopathic doctor to find out what's going on with me.
Gotcha.
Only for her to look me in the eyes and say, your adrenals are completely shot.
Wow.
And for me to have to start treating myself with her help on how to get my health back into shape. And then our construction business needs to close. And I have to do some deep soul searching because now who am I?
Right.
At this point in time, I had already started the medicine wheel, which is the shamanic initiation of becoming a mesa carrier, of becoming a medicine woman within the Peruvian Incan tradition. So I was already on my path. The construction us having to close the construction business was part of that path. And I see all of those things. The closing of doors, the opening of the deep soul searching that I had to do to figure out what I was going to do with my life next. I looked at, designing jewelry and designing t-shirts and all of these various different things. But what it came down to is I knew what I had become good at. And what I had become good at was being my own family's herbalist.
You know what? I hear you, because there's another thing that connects us is I did the whole jewelry thing when I was on my, what am I going to do? There was a transition with me in my previous business. Now I chose to stop doing it, and I felt led divinely to just completely vacate the city where I was at and to go elsewhere. But I had that same thing where it's like, I have a lot of capabilities. And I know that there are a lot of women who may be tuning into this and they're like, okay, well, I can draw and I can sing and I can speak and I can write and I can design jewelry and I could do all of these different things. But the question for the listeners, what is at the core of you? What is at the heart of you? What is the common denominator behind all of these gifts? And for me, that common denominator was what I was doing with my mind and my words, and how I was infusing inspiration, motivation, and knowledge in very practical ways to women. And that helped set me on my path. There was a deeply rooted passion. There was a strong connection. And something that you said, what you did, it was a way of life, not just a skill set. We get into entrepreneurship to become more defined, to become more refined. You go to jobs to execute a skill set.
Right.
Come on, take it.
No, and I think that was exactly it. I think we have been conditioned to do something that we're good at. Right. I was good at construction administration. It was something that I completely understood. There was a beginning, a middle, and end. I understood all of the various intricate parts of it, and I was good at it.
Mm-hmm.
But there was no passion behind it. I didn't wake up in the morning excited about what I had to do that day. And I found that being this family herbalist, I was excited about this new herb that I had read about. I was excited when something worked. I had taken, eventually what had happened is I was at the local nursery and I was getting plants for this physical medicine wheel that I was building in my backyard. And these are the divine moments, because I had had lots of knees to the ground moments with God in this period of time. Please guide me. Please lead me to where I'm supposed to be. How is it that I got everything that I ever asked for and was still not fulfilled? Right? Because I had a healthy family at this point in time. I had lived in the right neighborhood, in the right house, on the right street. Like all of the checks were there, except for my soul was empty.
Mm.
And so I was creating this medicine wheel in my backyard with my husband. It was almost a passion project for both of us, where we were both putting pieces of ourselves in it. And I went to the nursery to pick up some plants for it. And I see this class that says, it was something about medicinal, like a 2-hour class on medicinal herbs, $25. Done. I'll do it. And in that 2 hours, I felt more alive than I had felt in a really, really long time. Wow. And then being able to take these things that I learned and make it applicable to my everyday life. I think my husband is probably my favorite client, mostly because he's always doing something that's crazy. And one of the things I had learned in this 2-hour class was how to mend bone and sinews, right? The soft tissue that keeps our bones and our muscles attached. Okay. And my husband had messed up his knee. He screwed up his meniscus on the job. And this was something that would have traditionally taken surgery to fix. But instead, I'm like, let me try something. And I tried this something on him, and I've done it on him 2 different occasions on the same knee because he re-injured it. But we've avoided surgery not 1 time, but 2 times because there's no alternative way to handle it. And I get to be the one that tries it on him.
Yeah. I wish those of you that are listening to the podcast could have seen her like, yeah, get the little finger going. Oh, I love it. No, that's awesome. That's amazing. Gosh, brilliant. I love you. So here you are, you're alive, you have passion. And that's ultimately what entrepreneurship is supposed to be about. And I just want to kind of just throw this little nugget in there. Yes, sometimes the pressure is hard, especially when you start your business and you're working on becoming profitable and you're nervous about whether or not you'll quote unquote carry your own weight, bring money to the table. Will you be able to keep the doors open? All these different types of things that we can think about with entrepreneurship. But the funny thing is, those stresses are nowhere near in comparison to what I hear people say, like, I really hate my job. I have to get my brain right before I get in my car because I know when I get there, my boss is going to piss me off. I've heard women say they've been in their vehicles stuck in traffic for anywhere between an hour to an hour and a half, getting to work, crying as they're going in because they dreaded it and they probably got paid top dollar. But when you're an entrepreneur, and you really are on your path, and you really do have passion, even when it's not as profitable as you want it to be, you may have some pressure, but you still have peace. There's still that, but this is gonna work. It's gotta work because this is what I'm meant to do. And when you actually cross over to profitability, there is this, I wake up every day excited about what I do. And sometimes I may need to pull myself away from what I do because I can get so fully immersed in it. And I got to remember to still be the domestic CEO, and those different types of things. But that's what I hear from you. I hear that passion, and I just want to speak on it because I share that same feeling. And so for the ladies you're listening, do you feel that way? Because sometimes the reason why entrepreneurship is really so damn difficult is because you're misaligned. But I know that you and I share that same ooey gooey feeling about this is what I do. And when I'm doing it, I feel like I'm the shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I want to hit on that misaligned thing because I'm a shaman too. And I can, like, one of the things that makes me different than different alternative practitioners is how within the same visit, I can connect the physical issue to the spiritual issue because it's all connected.
Yes, it is.
Right? You cannot have a physical issue without it impacting your spirit, and you cannot have a spiritual issue without impacting your physical health. It's impossible. And it's all connected. So what it's one of those things where I understand that we all have to go out there and we all have to make the dollar bills because we need the house and the car and we need to buy the things and the food. I get it.
Right.
But when it impacts our spirit, when we are having those conversations with ourselves about how miserable we are, when we don't wake up enthused, when we are angry about the situation we're in because we can't seem to change it, that impacts our spirit and it impacts our physical health.
Yes.
And so it's almost detrimental to your health to keep yourself in that situation.
Absolutely.
It's detrimental to your health when you cannot stand getting up in the morning because you have to drive 2 hours in traffic. I remember being that woman driving in traffic thinking, gosh, you know what? If I got into a car accident today, that would be really awful. Except for that, I wouldn't have to go to work and that would be okay. Like that would be an excusable reason to not make it into the office that day. That's fucking crazy talk, yo.
It
but
is.
These are things that people actually think.
Absolutely. Man. And I've interviewed some women for summits and stuff like that. And I've heard multiple women say, that they cried themselves to work. They used every excuse they could not to go in. If somebody, they were like, ooh, me too. It's like, you guys know something was going on in the office, going around in the office. I think I got it. I'm going to be in today, type of thing.
I've done that too, where you mask your voice. Nobody, by the way, it fools nobody.
Right. Because everybody does it. OMG. So look, I want you to kind of give some people, some pointers, some advice, some tips, because this is what you do. And, I agree wholeheartedly that everything's connected. As a coach, that's one of the things that I do with the women that I serve. I make them do different exercises at different times that challenge where they are practically, where they are, spiritually, where they are mentally, because it all impacts. I'm the one who's like on a personal or professional and a spiritual level. I want to be analyzing where you are because that's what impacts you as an entrepreneur. And so what do you do when you're looking at people's health and you're looking at their spirit and what's going on in their mind? You're connecting all of these dots as well. And what I want you to think about at this moment, I'm throwing questions off on the fly, but she's a brilliant, she can handle it. The ladies that are listening, that know that they're in their passion. They know that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, but yet they are still drained. They're fatigued. They don't feel that they're misaligned, but they're not necessarily spiritually enthused. I'm just kind of throwing a scenario out there at you. Please forgive me. What kind of advice would you give them so that they can level up? Whether, I don't know, is it the energy? Is it the mindset? Is it the spirit? And I know this isn't a cookie cutter, but can you kind of start giving some foundational things that ladies should be doing? Because I see so many women tired. And I think and what I've seen is the advice has gotten clouded in just this hyphenated word called self-care. And that's a pet peeve of mine, and I know some people that label themselves as that may not like some of my podcast episodes, but it's deeper than that. So can you kind of talk to the ladies, because this is what you do?
It is. So in fact, I'm actually going to be talking about self-care coming up soon on a we're on the same summit.
Yes.
On the Rebel Shine Summit. But self-care isn't a day at the spa. Self-care isn't getting a pedicure. Self-care isn't any of those things. Self-care is a lifestyle, ladies. So the first thing I would do is, you and I are similar in this way, is get a journal. Mm-hmm. And you need to start making the connection. What is connected to tiredness? Mm-hmm. This might be in an emotion. This could be food. This could be the fact that you just didn't get enough sleep last night because you don't think you're worthy enough to go to sleep on time.
Yes.
And so one of the first things I always say to women, because I know that I hear entrepreneurs, and you might actually disagree with this concept, but I'm going to say it anyways. I've heard a lot of motivational entrepreneurs talk about you can sleep when you're dead. I've heard it 100 times. Well, yeah, that is true. And you're going to get to death a lot quicker if that's your mindset. So sleep is one of the most powerful and potent medicines that we can have. Ladies, get your sleep. Get your sleep. If that means that you have to wake up earlier, that's cool. Get your ass to bed by 9, the very latest, 11 p.m. Because these are the important cycles of your body's system where it rejuvenates and detoxifies you. Get to bed earlier so that you can get up earlier and do those things that you need to do. The truth is I don't care whether you say that you're a night owl or not. That's baloney. Okay? Everybody's more effective in the morning. Sorry. Like, that's just the way it is. You might not be a bowl full of sunshine. I know I'm not. I need a 2-hour moment of silence in the morning. But I know that I'm most effective in the morning.
Now, here's what I'll say to that, because I like, number one, this is why we get along, because we don't have to agree 100%, but I don't want to disagree with you. That's what, and the reason, and I want to really make this moment of clarity. There's a bunch of other things wrapped up in this part of the conversation, because there are so many women, because we've been conditioned to think that we can only be around a certain kind of woman who talks a certain kind of way. We can only connect, to this extent. And I can't stand that, because there's a great divide between women, and we don't necessarily have to say things the exact same way. We don't even necessarily have to 1000% agree on everything the exact same way either. It's just at those crucial core defining areas that it's important. But at some point we have to realize that we're allowed to be different. And so the reason why for those of you that don't know, because Erin and I have developed a really great relationship over the last almost a year now, we're creeping up on. It's been well over 6 months for sure, is that I'm one of those people, I'm like, I'm beast mode, I'll hashtag beast mode. And unfortunately, I catch a lot of her late night lives, and she's probably thinking like, August, I'm doing a live about getting some sleep, get your ass in the bed. But, she doesn't call me out, and I love her so much. But the thing about it is, real talk, I get what you're saying. And sometimes information can be convoluted. And so, for instance, like someone like Eric Thomas, that's someone that I follow, right? And he's always talking about beast, and everybody want to say they're a beast until it's time to do what beasts do. He's, those catchy phrases, it's not about your phenomenal skill, it's about your phenomenal will. And so that's an individual that I listen to. But we have to be careful what we internalize and how we internalize it. Because Eric Thomas is the same person who will tell you, yeah, that's why I get up at 3:00 every morning. I've listened to him talk, but then he'll talk about how he goes to bed at like 9 or 10 o'clock every night.
Right.
And that's what a lot of people don't understand. And so there are some times when I do stay up late. I'm just literally up, and everybody's different. But what I do believe in rest. I don't want anybody that ever listens to me to ever get that twisted. And I was talking on something one day, and even though it was the middle of the day nap, like people think, oh, she beasts all the time and she just never still. I could tell my husband in a heartbeat, just come sit down. I can lay on the couch and put my head on his lap and pass out and take a nap in the middle of the day, even though I'm not naturally a napper. But if my body is saying be still or be cool, then that's what I'll do. I'll be still and I'll be cool. So yes, there is truth, 100% truth to what you said. But just because my behaviors don't always line up with that definitely does not mean that I disagree and that I discredit that. And ladies, sometimes you got to turn down what your core beliefs and how strongly you feel about something and listen to an individual like Erin, because for you or me at any given point, it may be like, this is that one secret thing that you need to do. It might be rest. It might be to just lay your butt down. And I don't know as much about you medically, but I do know that things settle.
There's something that happens. I can't explain this shit, but between the moon and the water and the earth and gravity and what's happening and the cycles and stuff, it's real. And this is what, once again, we're treating it like it's a lost art, but these are the things that people used to study. So I admire you, and I do listen to you, and I tune into everything you say, because it is not my area of expertise. And I would not discredit it and say, oh yeah, well, that's some shit. Well, you shut up, Erin. Because you know what? Because I don't believe that, that I'm going to sleep when I'm dead. But I also don't believe in bullshitting my time. And so some of you ladies, what you may be thinking, well, I need to stay up late because I need to work. No, you need to not have that hour-long conversation with that girlfriend that's doing nothing for you in your business. You may need to cut off that TV show that you're saying, well, I'm just sitting down for a second so I can relax because I'm frustrated. You may need to delete those games off your phone that you're playing and you don't realize that 2 hours later you're still on it. You may need to be more strategic about your time on Facebook and what you're doing, because you're actually on there for 4 hours instead of 45 minutes. Or you're spot checking, you're working and then you're Facebooking and you're working and you're Facebooking, and nothing has your 100% undivided attention. So you don't get enough work done, and you're putting yourself under pressure to get shit done that you could have gotten done all day long so that you can go to bed at a decent hour at night. So please understand that there's a difference between forcing yourself to hustle and being negligent versus having these moments of divine inspiration and you just are over flooded with shit and you feel like you can't calm down because you got to get stuff out,
Exactly. Well, and it's really interesting because I'm glad that you mentioned that not having the focus. I talk about this in a talk that I do on stress, is we are constantly divided in 15 different directions. That does crazy stuff to our hormone levels. It has us in fight and flight mode. And rather than being in a place of rest or even just in a place of stillness, our body's constantly feeling stressed when we're multitasking like that. We would be much better off if we could just focus on one thing at a time. Do your Facebook stuff, then do whatever you have to do. Then, be strategic, like you were saying, be a time manager, as opposed to allowing time to manage you.
You absolutely have to. And sometimes it's funny to me because I'll go on Facebook and I may blitz and put like 50 posts up. I'll like do 4 videos back to back. And then after that, I'm gone. I'm not responding to anything and I'm not doing anything until later. Now, people that are looking at the feed may be like, oh my God, August is so active, because they're not necessarily 100% paying attention to the fact that even though you see 5 posts, they're popping up at different times. But I literally just went on and did 5 posts at the top of the morning. And I just wanted to take all of these thoughts and just make little posted posts and put them out there and then going on about my business. But a lot of you're not being able to be as productive because you're not laser focused. You're like, I can't stand sending emails. Well, that's because you're like, okay, let me see, what am I going to do? Oh, I need to reach out to my email list. I need to send them something. Oh, what am I going to write about? Okay, you know what? Wait a minute. Somebody just responded to that thing I sent on Facebook. Okay. Oh, well, that's funny. Click the last emoji, go back. Okay, you know what? I think I'm just going to tell them about yesterday and what happened. Ding. Oh, wow. That person I sent a message to on Instant Messenger finally responded. Bam. And before you realize it, you've reset your brain. Like 2 or 3 times to refocus. That's that stress that you're talking about. And 30 minutes later, you still haven't done anything. And then you'll trick yourself into saying, you know what? I'm not going to send anything unless it's authentic. I'm not going to do this unless it's right. And I don't want to just send anything out, when in all actuality, you didn't say, you know what? Laser focus. And if you were laser focused, you probably could have typed out something in 10 to 15 minutes and been very powerful and allowed a divine download to come to you that was so potent that when it does get to your email list, people feel connected to you, as opposed to you trying to make something happen in your brain. That's the difference between being creative versus forcing yourself to try to go through a task. But like you said, when you've got all of these different things going on, you get frustrated and you're not focused.
No. And I think, we're always looking at we're looking at perfection when we should be looking at progress. We're looking at taking these huge leaps when really we just need to take that small bite, and it's one of those things where it's like, okay, so how do I get to bed earlier? Why don't you just start by going to bed 15 minutes earlier tonight?
There you go.
Why don't you just start by, having one less, naughty thing in your diet this week? Because that's the thing, is we're not trying to be perfect human beings. That's impossible.
Yes, it is.
You're one of the biggest people that talks about balance. Balance has been misconstrued. And I tell this to my clients a lot. Don't weigh yourself every week. Weigh yourself once a month, because balance doesn't look the way we think it does.
Absolutely.
1 week we might blow it, but we have 3 more weeks within that month, right? We have 21 more days within that month to bring it back.
Absolutely.
Don't try to get perfect out the gate. Stop trying to make these huge leaps. Take small bites that you can accomplish every single day, and you'll get there.
And what's really funny about you bringing that up, especially because that I'm like doing my whole I'm taking my body back, journey.
Mm-hmm.
Because I teach, like you said, I teach the same methodologies in business, but I do have to adopt those same principles. I could easily just be like, no, I'm going to do this, and this. But the reality of it is that it's a discipline. Mm-hmm. It's a lifestyle. And it has to be something that you transition into. You could say, well, I know that I need to drink X amount of ounces of water a day, or I know I need to eat more leafy, green vegetables. But if it's not what you normally do, I have seen it. I've done it in the past where even though I like vegetables, I went and I bought all this kale and all of this romaine. I bought all of these blue and yellow, orange bell. And I'm like, what is molded?
Oh, you're like, what's that smell?
Because when I got to run, maybe the first 3 days out the gate, I was salad, and I was string beans and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, rushing out the door. Well, I can stop here and I can get this, or I'll buy a smoothie from there, or I'll eat this. And before you know it, you're off because you haven't even figured out how to infuse that into your lifestyle. People that do it on a regular basis, like me, if I take my kids somewhere with me, it's nothing for me to be like, okay, grab the bag. I got ice packs I have a bag that keeps, the cool and hot temperatures. Mm-hmm. But I also have ice packs that stay in my freezer. I have the containers so that things stay hot or cold. But in a heartbeat, I can go and be like, okay, we're getting ready to go out. Because what we will not be doing is we will not be stopping at McDonald's. What we will not be doing, we will not be doing that. But I didn't get to that place overnight. And I still have moments where I don't do that. And it's like, oh, dang it, so what's the alternative? And so, no, you don't want the pressure of being perfect. Nobody is 100% perfect in everything. Your business is the same thing. You may be great at posting and you may have done about 4 or 5 videos, a couple of times for 3 weeks in a row. And then you look and you're like, I haven't done any videos for 2 or 3 weeks. It's a muscle. And until you do it and you get into that zone on a regular basis, you're not going to do it all the time, because then you may have had 3 weeks of bliss. But when that week of chaos comes and the husband is off and the kids are off and the clients are off, it's like, wait a minute, how did I even not do the videos? Why didn't I post? I haven't solicited anybody to ask them if they want my services, because it's all a muscle. It's a discipline, and those things take time. And so, yeah, I don't even really like to use balance. It comes out involuntarily sometimes. I like to talk about making harmonious decisions, being spiritually connected, and being very intentional. When you're in the moment, be all in it so that you can get it immersed into your mind and your heart and your spirit, so that it could be something that you become habituated to. Because what I basically notice is a lot of people just try to give themselves a bunch of bullet point rules, a bunch of lists of things to do, instead of getting connected to what they're doing. You did take it.
No, it is. I mean, I think that's what it is we think that balance, and we think that, things need to be in these perfect little equal pieces. And that's just not how life works. And it's naive and juvenile.
Yeah.
to think that it is. That's not how it works. Life ebbs and it flows. And I like to say to live by the 80-20 rule. You're going to do it right 80% of the time, because so that when you mess up that other 20%, it's cool.
It's cool.
It's cool. Because you got it right 80% of the time. We're not trying to be perfect human beings. And the more that we do that, the more that we impact our health negatively, our spirit negatively, and our business negatively. Because we are trying to set expectations that not only can we not obtain, but neither can our clients. And I don't care what field you're in. Our clients cannot achieve perfection because it's not something that we need to achieve.
And I'm glad that you brought that up too before we switch gears, but that's important to understand that the level of grace that you extend to yourself is the level of grace that you will extend to other people. And as a business owner, that's going to affect the impact that you have on people. If you're setting unreasonable expectations for yourself, you're going to set unreasonable expectations for your clients, unreasonable expectations for people that work with you or for you, and you're not going to thrive in your business. So having that grace, giving yourself grace in your relationships and the mistakes that you make is the same thing that you're going to have to do with other people that you're connected to. And that's what makes relationships, because of the imbalance. And sometimes I'm giving a little bit more, you're taking a little bit more, and I'm down a little bit, and so you're giving a little more, because nothing is this perfect straight line of we're always on 100 together. We both always feel great. We've always got each other's back. Nothing is perfect like that. And so kind of transitioning, because I could talk to you all day. We're just sitting here.
I know,
we're just sitting here like beasting out this interview. I'm inviting you back for a series. I'm telling you that right now, because we need to keep this going. We need to take certain sections of what we just talked about and really give some women some stuff to walk away with. But with everything that we've said, we've kind of brought up how we have a slightly different vernacular around certain things. We've talked about not being perfect, giving people grace. So what about your circle? Because I really believe it's important for women to have a positive circle of influence. What is yours like? Who holds you accountable? What do you do to help you stay grounded?
You know, I'm actually really lucky. I have built 3 different support systems in my life, all women. They're my village. I have my homeschool co-op mamas. We raise our children very similarly. They really are a huge support system for me. They've got my back when it comes to mama stuff. And even when they see that I'm struggling with how am I going to manage all that I'm doing and keep my business going, because they know that this is my good work to the world, right?
Yes.
This is what God has asked me to do. Then I have my renegades and my RT renegades, and that is probably those women are off the hook. And they're a really great cheerleading group. They're a really good support system. They're really good for accountability. And then I do have my entrepreneur sisters, a lot of which are spiritual women. And I don't think it really matters what kind of spirituality they come from, as long as we all know that we're connecting with something greater than ourselves.
Yes.
And those 3 groups hold me accountable. Those 3 groups, I know that I can go to them for whatever it is I'm looking for. Because sometimes, you know what, August? Sometimes we're in pain for no damn reason.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, and I've gone to my sisters and been like, I'm in pain. I need spiritual healing. What's going on? Nothing. I'm having some sort of internal conflict that I can't put my finger on. Or sometimes my health, right? Because I'm a human being too. Sometimes I take my eye off the ball. And I just need somebody to take my son for a couple of hours so that I can sleep, so that I can get my health back on track. Because here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, is we cannot show up fully in our business, fully in our children's lives, fully in our spouses' lives, fully in our lives if we do not feel well.
Right.
And we have been conditioned to thinking that feeling crappy is normal, and that is bullshit.
Whew, you hit a nerve. You really hit a nerve. That's that I show that I'm strong by I will still serve people even though I feel like shit type of thing that's going on. The way that I prove that I'm worth something to the world is because I beat myself down and gave of myself to the extent that, oh, look at her, but no matter what, she's still there to support. No matter what, she's still there to give. But you give your best when you're at your best. And if you're not making sure that you're okay, I 1000% agree. How can you truly be there to give to anybody else? And that's hogwash. You don't prove that you're a woman by showing that you're willing to lay down and sacrifice yourself. And I'm like you, I don't impose any, religious standard on anybody, but a portion of who I am spiritually is deeply rooted in Christianity. And I tell people all the time, if you're a Christian, Jesus already did it. He already laid down, sacrificed, got beat up, all of that stuff. You don't need to be a savior for anyone. We don't need to be saviors because of his extension of grace and sacrifice. For those of you that believe that level of philosophy, that has left you in a position to do greater things, to be one who empowers people to walk in purpose. But somewhere along the line, because of catchy phrases about bearing your burdens, caring for other people, we become martyrs.
And that's an archetype. We don't need to carry that archetype.
No, we really don't. And it isn't even in alignment with the people that say that that's where you come from. And I personally, I can't vibe with it. I can't mesh with it. It doesn't make sense to me. When I know that I have been taught that my words have power, I literally can say something to into existence. That all I have to do is believe that I want something. I'm a powerful being. Why would I want to operate as anything less than? And so when something's off, like you said, you get the help. And I love you because you have your personal, your professional, and your spiritual circle of influence. And that's the other thing. Sometimes we need to have everybody in, their specific place. For when we need them. Women, who do you go to? What does your circle of influence look like? And how are you utilizing that for every aspect of your life so that you're okay? Because whining about it, bitching about it, complaining about it, pushing through it and suppressing it. To me, suppressing is still bitching because it's going to come out as passive aggressive behavior eventually. So,
yes.
Let's just be real about it. That's not the answer. There are plenty of nuggets and wisdom that you should have taken, from everything that Erin has said. What are you putting in your body? Are you getting adequate rest? Are you aligned with your purpose? Are you exercising something because it's a passion versus it's something that you're good at? They're being the first to respond. Are you aware of what you're empowered to do and to be? I'm telling you, I'm going to leave from off of this interview feeling so invigorated. I love you because when I talk to you, I feel like I can. I'm already an I can type of person, but I hope that everybody else that's listening, that you feel this same thing, energetically, spiritually, that I have felt since the day that I met you. I've always felt so strongly connected with you since day one. You've really blessed the ladies. And I say that with all sincerity. I adore you. Final words of wisdom. What do you have for the ladies? Any last light that you want to shed on them to take away while they're pressing through day to day? What words of encouragement and insight, anything? What are you thinking? Just bless them.
What I'm thinking is that you are worthy and you are loved because you are here. And that is it. You don't have to prove yourself. You don't have to work harder. You don't have to do anything to deserve that love and worthiness. Mm-hmm. You are loved and you are worthy because it's innate, because you're here.
Blessings. So tell them, how do they stay connected to you? And I didn't know whether or not you did or did not have a special free gift or something that you wanted to extend to the listeners for as long as it's available. But how do they connect with you? And do you have anything that you wanted them to opt in for?
I don't have anything for them to opt in for. What I will say is this, is connect with me on Facebook. My business page is Ancient Traditions Healing. And I extend a 15-minute free consultation to anybody who is looking for one, because that's what I think we need to figure out first, whether there's this between us.
Yes.
And you can't see this on the podcast, you guys.
Yeah. Doing that pointy thing.
You're right. That our energy works together.
Yes.
And that there's something that I can help you with. And sometimes those 15-minute consults, that's all the person needs. And if I've touched them in that 15 minutes and then that's helped them, I'm cool. And if we need to work further, then we can work further from there. But you deserve good health. You deserve to feel vital when you wake up in the morning. You deserve to glow. And so if you have any questions, feel free to instant message me or to take me up on a free 15-minute consult.
Absolutely. You guys go follow her on Facebook. Find her on her name. Find her on her business page. She is always giving life-changing information on there. Thank you guys for tuning in to the podcast today. Her links, if you don't know how to type out her name, are on the podcast. Just go to the featured guest tab on realwomendon'tbitchpodcast.com. I am highly encouraging you guys to connect with her. She's awesome. Thank you guys for always tuning in. We will be back. I'll keep you in the loop because I've already put it out there. I need a series from you, lady. And with all of that being said, you guys get out there, keep beasting your business. And because I've been policed by the one and only, get some rest while you're beasting. We are here. Deuces.
Thank you for joining me today. Remember to cultivate a mindset that is biased towards taking action. No bitching, whining, or complaining. Here, our mantra is, real women don't bitch, we get shit done. See you next week as I continue to bring you what you need to keep your head in the game and beast your business. Don't forget to hit subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Would you like a specific topic covered? Have a question you would like answered live? Then head on over to realwomen.don't bitchpodcast.com. Subscribe to my email list, hit me up, and I got you. Interested in being a guest speaker? You walk the walk? Then you can sign up on the website too. This is your #1 advanced mental conditioning specialist for entrepreneurs, Mrs. Raw, Real, and Relentless, signing out. Deuces!